Have you ever wondered why, no matter how many self-help books you read, hundreds, thousands, even Ty Lopez had this moment?
Garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. It's fun to drive up here in the Hollywood Hills. But you know what I like a lot more than materialistic things? Knowledge. In fact, I'm a lot more proud of these 7 new bookshelves that I had to get installed to hold 2,000 new books that I bought.
But no matter how many books you read, you must have noticed this. It is very hard to actualize these ideas. In fact, internalize them. You could take one book, like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Famous books, has so many amazing ideas, and if you internalize 10% of them, you'll probably be rich. But that is the problem, right? We are all searching for this magic pill, which, when found, could change our internal state of being. Now, in this video, we're going to explore precisely that. To understand the problem, we first need to understand the existence of the two dimensions, external and internal. Now we are going to explore both of these dimensions, like the external dimension and the internal dimension. Both the dimension we are going to use our direct experience to explore. However, you'll notice the reason this is two different dimensions is because the data that you're capturing through your 5 senses, that is yours, and because you're building the theory on top of data. So theory is like you're concluding from the data, right? Your hypothesis. So the theories are going to differ, and the thing is not cross compatible. It is in a very abstract way. So there are two dimensions, the external dimension and the internal dimension. And if you notice, the way we are going to explore these both dimension is through our direct experience, right? What do you mean by direct experience? The data that is captured using your 5 senses, that is eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and touch. Notice the data that is getting captured is different. For instance, when I'm talking about external dimension, I'm talking about the outside world. You see colors, you see green, you see an apple, you see friends, family, humans, right? Now when you close your eyes, you don't see an apple, right? You don't see the color green, for instance, unless until you like kind of imagine it. But the imagination of the color green is not actually seeing the color green, right? So, but what can you be conscious of here? You get like different sort of data. Here you get like thoughts, sensations, the movies that play in your head, imagination, whatever. Now you'll notice the problem here. If you understand this, what I'm saying, you'll understand the problem why self-help is not working. When someone writes a book, they're writing a book on top of this data. Growing up, we are only taught theories that is built on top of data of the external dimension. For example, the physics, here's a block, it hits this block in 9.8 meters per second, whatever. We're never actually taught to build theories on top of our internal dimension, on thoughts, sensation, movies. And here's the problem. The problem is the theory that you have built on top of this data, which is like sight, smell, and stuff like that, you try to apply it in this dimension. But that doesn't make sense, you see. For example, if I build a theory around thoughts, movies, and sensation, and if I try to influence my external world using the theory I've built on the data that I capture from my internal world, that is the thoughts, sensation, movies, yada yada, right? It just doesn't work. Imagine me building a theory around how I can make a thought move an apple. However, if you build a theory upon how a thought could influence its thought, now that is a useful theory that you could use to influence your internal dimension. Yeah. Similarly, how physics is the study of data in the external dimension, understanding how the objects interact. Yeah. So if I want So if I want this apple to fall, the way I can make that apple fall is to like manipulate the data outside me. And you have an entire theory on top of that. Okay, if I take a stone and if I aim like this, and if it's like a parabolic curve, it hits the apple at the stem and it falls down because of the point of contact is the most whatever, right? The entire theory is built on external dimension. But if you notice, with the internal dimension, the data, notice this theory that you have built on the external dimension is just not going to work on your internal dimension. Why? Because the data that you're dealing with in the first place itself is different. You are not dealing with apples, you're not dealing with colors, you're not dealing with thoughts. When you close your eyes, you don't see dopamine. That's a fact. If you close your eyes, you don't see serotonin. You see something black, maybe some patterns. You see, you're aware of thoughts, sensation, the movies that play in your head, imagination. You're aware of how you're feeling right now, and that's the information you have. So you need to build a theory that is using this information to influence this world. If you want to influence your inner world, you need to build a theory around the data that you're capturing from your inner world, like when you close your eyes. Now, if you notice, there are 4 possible theories that can arise because of this dichotomy. You have a field of theory like physics, which is understanding the external world's influence on the external world, right? For instance, physics, how does this mass affect this mass if it collides, right? You're understanding the dynamic between the objects in the external world. I have another category of theory like psychology, where you're trying to use the external world data to understand your internal world. Okay? For example, there's a brain. Inside this brain, it has blood cells. This blood cells has like DNA, RNA, whatever, right? Or even psychology. So this is like biology. So even psychology, okay, this person is giving this sort of symptoms. So if he behaves this way, it's indicative that he could be having this, right? You're gathering data from an external world, that is from your smell, sight, taste, touch, right? External world, to assess a person's internal world, right? This is one category of theory. Now we have another category of theory where you're using internal world's data to assess internal world. Now the problem with this is that this is something you have to build for yourself solo, using your direct experience. Everyone can like point, but no one can actually point to your direct experience raw. So this is something you have to build on yourself, which will be the foundation of understanding the concept of letting go. And you have finally another dimension, how your internal world affects your external world. This is where you have stuff like law of attraction. Now if you notice, if you use this theory to affect this world, it's not going to work. And if you use this theory to here's a problem. If you use only this theory to affect this world, it's not going to work. Or if you use only this theory to affect the external world, it's not going to work. If you noticed, right? So what you have to do, you have to create a harmony between all these dimensions, the external dimension and the internal dimension. And you have to create a theory that is cohesive enough and have the wisdom to distinguish between the dimensions. Oh, this is like an internal world right now. So this internal world, lot of the logics that I've learned from the external world just don't work, because the fundamental data that you're capturing itself is different. This concludes the part 1 of this video. In the next video, we are going to explore the theories that we are going to build using this new data and learning how to distinguish, is this external dimension, internal dimension, which will ultimately help you understand letting go, what to let go, how to let go, the nature of letting go, exciting stuff. Looking forward for the part 2.